Here's a song called Teddy Bear, done in my own style. I was on the outskirts of a little town, trying to reach my destination before the sun went down. The old cab was blaring away on Channel 19, and there came a little boy's voice in the radio line. And he said, "Breaker 19, anyone there? Come on back, truckers, and talk to Teddy Bear." Well, I keyed the mic and I said, "You got it, Teddy Bear." A little boy's voice came back on the air and said, "Appreciate the break. Who we got in that end?" And I told him my handle, and then he began. Now, I'm not supposed to bother you fellas out there. Mom says you're busy and for me to stay off the air. But you see, I get lonely and it helps to talk. Because that's about all I can do. I'm crippled. I can't walk. I came back and told him to fire up that old mic and I'd talk to him as long as he liked. He said, "That's my dad's radio," little boy said, and I guess it's Mom and mine now, because my daddy's dead. Dad had a wreck about a month ago, and he was trying to get back in the blinding snow. Mom has to work now to make ends meet, and I'm not much help with my two crippled feet. She says, "Not to worry, we'll make it all right," but I hear her cry, sometimes late at night. You know, there's one thing I want more than anything else to see. Oh, I know you guys are too busy to bother with me, but you see, my dad used to take me for rides when he was home, but I guess that's all over now since my daddy's gone. And now one breaker came in the old CB as that little cripple boy talked to me. And I tried hard to swallow a lump that I just couldn't get to stay down, and I thought about my little boy back in Greenville town. Dad was going to take me and Mom along with him later that year, and I remember him saying someday, "This old truck will be yours, Teddy Bear," but I know I'll never get to ride an 18-wheeler again. But this old bass will keep me in touch with all my trucker friends. Teddy Bear's gonna back out now and leave you guys alone, because it's about time for Mom to come home. But you give me a shout when you're passing through, and I'll be sure to come back to you. Well, I come back and I said, "Hey, before you go, 1010, what's your 20, little CB friend?" Well, he gave me his address. I didn't once hesitate, because this hot load of freight is just going to have to wait. I turned around that truck on a dime and I headed straight back to Jackson, Street 229. And as I rounded the corner, oh, I got one heck of a shot. 18-wheelers were lined up for 3 city blocks. Why, I guess every driver for miles around had caught Teddy Bear's call, and that little boy was just having a ball. For as fast as one driver would carry him in, another would carry him back out and take off again. Well, you better believe I took my turn at riding Teddy Bear, and then I took him back and put him back in his chair. And buddy, if I never live to see happiness again, I want you to know I saw it in that little boy's face of that little man. We took up a collection for him before his mom got home, and each and every driver said goodbye, and then we were all gone. And he shook my hand with a mile-long grin. He said, "So long, trucker. I'll catch you again." Well, I hit that interstate with tears in my eyes. I turned on the radio and got another surprise. Breaker 19 came the voice in the air. Just another word from Mama, Teddy Bear. was on the outskirts of a little country town, trying to reach my destination before the sun went down. The old CB was blaring away on channel 19 when it came a little boy's voice in the radio line. And he said, "Breaker 19, is anyone there? Come on back, truckers, and talk to Teddy Bear." Well, I keyed the mic and I said, "You got it, Teddy Bear." The little boy's voice came back on the air and, "Appreciate the break. Who we got on that end?" I told him my handle and then he began. "Well, now I'm not supposed to talk or bother you, fellas. Their mom says you're busy and for me to stay off the air. But you see, I get lonely and it helps to talk. Because it's about all I can do. I'm crippled and I can't walk." I came back and told him, "Fire up that old mic and I'll talk to him for as long as you like." "This was my dad's radio," little boy said, "but I guess it's mom's and mine now, because my daddy's dead." See, Dad had a wreck about a month ago. He was trying to get home in the blinding snow. Mom has to work now to make ends meet. I'm not much help with my 2 crippled feet. She says not to worry and we'll make it all right, but I hear her crying, sometimes late at night. You know, there's one thing I want more than anything else. Oh, I know you guys are too busy to bother with me, but you see, my dad used to take me for rides when he was home, but I guess that's all over now since my daddy's gone. And not one breaker came in the old CB as that little crippled boy talked to me. And I tried hard to swallow a lump that just wouldn't go down or wouldn't stay down, and I thought about my little boy back in Greenville town. Dad was going to take Mom and me along with him later this year, but why, I remember him saying, "Someday this truck will be yours, Teddy Bear." But I know I'll never get to ride an 8-wheeler again. But this old base will keep you in touch with all my trucker friends. Teddy Bear's gonna back out now and leave you alone, because it's about time for Mom to come home. But you give me a shout when you're passing through, and I'm sure I'll be glad to come back and talk to you. Well, I came back and I said, "Before you go, 1010, what's your 20, little CB friend?" Well, he gave me his address, and I didn't once hesitate, because this hot load of freight is just going to have to wait. I turned that truck around on a dime and headed straight back for Jackson Street 229. And as I rounded the corner, I got one heck of a shot. 18-wheelers were lined up for 3 city blocks. Well, I guess every driver for miles around had caught Teddy Bear's call, and the little boy was having a ball. For as fast as one driver would carry him in, another would carry him back to his truck and take off again. Well, you better believe I took my turn at riding Teddy Bear. I took him back and put him down in his chair. And buddy, if I never see happiness again, I want you to know I saw it that day in the face of that little man. And we took up a collection for him before Mom got home, and each driver said goodbye, and then they were gone. And he shook my hand with a mile-long grin and said, "So long, trucker. I'll catch you again." Well, I hit that interstate with tears in my eyes. And I turned, got the radio on again, and got another surprise. "Breaker 19, came a voice in the air. Just one word of thanks from Mom and Teddy Bear. We wish each and every one of you a special prayer, for you just made my little boy's dream come true." And I'll sign off now before I start crying. May God be with you. 10-4 and goodbye. Here's a song It's called Somewhere Between Jesus and John Wayne. Daddy was a cowboy. He was hard as a rock. Mama, she was quiet, just like a little prayer. And Daddy always told me, son, you gotta be tough. But Mom would kiss my cheek and say, son, you always play it fair. I did my best to make him proud of me, but it's never been easy. Never been an easy place to be. 'Cause I'm somewhere between Jesus and John Wayne. Between a cowboy and a saint, crossing the open range. I try to be more like you, Lord, but most days I know I ain't. I know I'm somewhere between Jesus and John Wayne. Well, Mama's love was tender, Daddy's love was strong. But both of them were there to help the weak. They taught me to stand up and fight for what was right. Showed me how to turn the other cheek. Since there's a lot of both of them in me, then maybe that's the best that I could ever be. The best that I could ever be. I'll be somewhere between Jesus and John Wayne. Between a cowboy and a saint, crossing the open range. And I'll try to be more like you, Lord. But most days I know I ain't. I'm just between Jesus and John Wayne. Yes, I'll try to be more like you, Lord. But most days I ain't. Yeah, I'm right here, somewhere between Jesus and John Wayne. Okay, I'm going to try one here. Red Sabine had out a while back. My own version of Giddy Up Go lyric. Well, the highways that wind and wander over mountains, valleys, deserts, and plains. I guess I drove them all. Because for the past 25 years, now the cab of a truck's been my home. And it'd be kind of hard for me to settle down and not be on the go. Well, I remember the first truck I ever drove. I was so proud, I could hardly wait to get home to show my wife and my little boy. My little boy was so excited, like when he saw his first snowfall. He wasn't old enough to say too many words. He just kept hollering, "Giddy up, go, Daddy, giddy up, go." So that's what I named the old truck, Giddy Up Go. Well, things weren't too bad for us, but I guess I was gone a lot. After about 6 years, I got home one day and I found my wife and my little boy gone. I couldn't find out what happened. Nobody seemed to know. So from that day on, it's been me and old Giddy Up Go. Now I've made a lot of friends at all the truck stops. Some of them would kid me about my little sign. Of course, they all knew where I got the name, because I told them about my little boy of mine, and how his first words about the old truck were, "Giddy up, go." Well, today I was barreling down old 66, when up beside me pulled a brand new diesel rig, both stacks blown black coal. As he pulled around back in front of me, a big lump came to my throat. My eyes watered like I'd had a bad cold. A little sign on the back of the truck read, "Giddy Up Go." Well, I pushed old Giddy Up Go and I stayed right with him until the next truck stop, where he pulled in. And I waited until he went inside and I offered to buy him a cup. Well, we got to talking shop and I said, "How'd you come by that name on your truck, Giddy Up Go?" Well, he said, "I got it from my pop. Dad used to drive a truck and that's what Mom talked about a lot. You see, I lost Mom when I was just past 16 and I lost all track of Dad. Mom said he got the name from me." I shook his hand and told him I had something I wanted him to see. So I took him outside the old truck and brushed some of the dirt so the name would show, and his eyes got big and bright as he read, "Giddy Up Go." We had a lot to talk about, buddy, and I felt like a king. And now he just pulled back an old 66 and he held that rig better than any gear jammer, and I'm going to do that one again because I had it too slow. Okay, we'll do it right on again. All right. Gonna get her going right back where I was. Old Red Savine's Giddy Up Go. We're gonna try it again. Giddy Up Go, the name of the song. Highways that wind and wander over mountains, valleys, deserts, and plains. I guess I drove about all of them, but for the past 25 years now, the cab of the truck has been my home. And it's kind of hard for me to settle down and not be on the go. Why, I remember the first truck I ever drove. I was so proud I could hardly wait to get home and show my wife and my little boy. My little boy was so excited, like when he saw his first snow. He was old enough to say, he wasn't old enough to say too many words, other he kept hollering, "Giddy up, go, Daddy, giddy up, go." So that's what I named the old truck, Giddy Up Go. Well, things weren't too bad for us, but I guess I was gone a lot. After about 6 years, I got home one day and I found my wife and my little boy gone. I couldn't find out what happened. Nobody seemed to know. So from that day on, it's been me and old Giddy Up Go. Now I made a lot of friends at truck stops, and some of them would kid me about my little sign. And of course, they all knew where I got the name, because I told them about my little boy and how his first words about the old truck were, "Giddy Up Go." Well, today I was barreling down old 66, and up beside me pulled a brand new diesel, both stacks blown black coal. As he pulled around in front of me, a big lump came to my throat. My eyes watered and something like I had a bad old cold. A little sign on the back of the truck read, "Giddy Up Go." Well, I pushed old Giddy Up Go and stayed right with him until the next truck stop, where he pulled in. I waited until he went in and I offered to buy him a cup. And we got to talking shop and I said, Now, how'd you come by that name on your truck? Giddy Up Go. Well, he said, I got it from my pop. And Dad used to drive a truck. Mom says that that's what she talked about a lot. You see, I lost Mom when I was just past 16. And I lost all track of Pop. Mom said he got the name from me. And I shook his hand and I told him I had something I wanted him to see. So I took him out the old truck and brushed off some of the dirt so the name would show. And his eyes got big and bright as he read, Giddy Up Go. Well, we had a lot of talk about Buddy and I felt like a king. And now we pulled back an old 66 and he handled that big rig better than any gear jammer that I'd ever seen. Well, the lines on the highway have a much brighter glow as we go roaring down the road and me staring at a little sign that reads, Giddy Up Go. Yeah, a little sign on the back of his rig reads, Giddy Up Go. To thinking a lot of times about back when I was a lad, about the old home place where I grew up, the good days, both good and bad. My overalls were hand-me-downs and my shoes were full of holes. I had to walk 4 miles to school every day through the rain, sleet and the cold. I've seen nights when my dad would cry for the things his family would need. But all he ever got was Badland Farm and 7 hungry mouths to feed. And yet our home fire never flickered once. 'Cause when those things went wrong, Mama took the hymn book down and Mama sang a song. Friend, having Jesus. And I've been rocked to sleep many nights by the tune of What a Friend. And come morning, Rock of Ages would waken me gently once again. And then Dad, well, he'd reach up and take the Bible down and he'd read it. And he'd read it loud and long. And I always thought our home was blessed when Daddy would say, Mama, sing a song. Well, Sister left home first, and Bob, and Tommy, and then Dan. And now Dan's hair is turning white. I had to be Mama's little man. But it seemed as Daddy's back grew weak, Mama's faith just grew strong. And then were the greatest days of all when Mama sang a song. Rock of Ages, laugh for me, let me hide myself in thee. Well, I guess our little house is still standing. I don't go back much anymore. There are voices left to fill the halls and no steps to grace the floor. You see, my Mama sings in heaven now around God's golden throne. And I always believe the words, this world's a better place because one time my Mama sang a song. Of ages, laugh for me. Yeah, here's a song called I Dreamed About Mama Last Night. Yeah, I had a dream about Mama last night. see her in heaven. And she read me her Bible like she used to do. I had a dream about Mama last night. Mama never used to go to sleep until all of us were in bed. On party nights until we came home, she often sat up and read. We never thought much about it because then we were young, and it's just how much Mama worried when the children were away. We only knew she never slept when we were out all night. She waited just to know that we're all made it home all right. Why, sometimes she stayed awake until 1, 2, or 3, and I'm sure Mama could hear the turning of the key. And when we step inside, she'd call out, and we'd reply. We were all too young to understand just the reason why. But up until the last one had returned home, Mama always kept on a light. She couldn't go to sleep until she kissed us all goodnight. I think Mama had to know we were safe before she could rest. She seemed to feel the world would harm the ones she loved the best. And one time she told me, when you've grown to men and women, I'll sleep a whole night through. It will be different then. It so seemed that night and day we knew a mother's care. Then always when we got back home, we'd find her waiting there. Then one night we were called together around her bed, and the children all knew, kindly Doc said, and in her eyes there gleamed again that old-time tender light. That's just when she's going to be waiting. She knew we're all right. She smiled in that old familiar smile and prayed for God to keep her children safe from harm throughout the years. And then Mama went to sleep. My dream is a treasure I'll always keep. The dream about Mama last night. Her children safe from harm throughout the years. And then Mama went to sleep. long, but waitress, before you leave, could you bring me a cup of coffee and a hot ham sandwich, please? 400 hogs, just out there standing there, and my wife can't feed them, and my neighbors don't care. Yeah, they get around and roam around like my hunting dogs. They can't do that. I'm here in this dang old bed now. Who's gonna feed them hogs? 400 hogs. They're just standing out there, and my wife can't feed them. My neighbors don't care. And they can't get out and roam around like my old dogs. I wonder, who's gonna feed them hogs? This is a song about the farmer and the Lord. I was resting one evening by the side of the road when I saw an old farmer in a field he had just hoed. Now his face was brown and wrinkled by the sun and the wind. He was just talking to the Lord, just like he would be talking to a friend. Well, sir, he said with a voice calm and quiet, them corn tassels need sacking, and I ain't got no strings tied. Hadn't rained in so long, and the fields are mighty dusty. And it's been so unbearably hot that the kids aren't even getting fussy. Now that grass down in the pasture, it should be knee-high. If we could just have a little shower, Lord, it might keep the cow from going dry. But listen to me talking, Lord. You'd think I wasn't grateful. Well, you'd probably think I was downright hateful. You think I forgot about the new calf that you sent? And the money that came in the mail that took care of the rent? Yeah, Ma's cold is getting better, and Johnny's home from the Navy, and oh, that good Sunday dinner with chicken and dumplings and gravy. And that new preacher you sent us, he's sure a fine young man. Why, he's just converting them sinners to be the band. Well, I guess I'll mosey on home now, Lord. I'll not take any more of your time. I guess there are plenty of folks out there waiting to ring your line. Well, evening to you, Lord, and watch over us tonight. Don't worry about us none, Lord. No, sir. Because I'm sure everything's going to be all right. Yes, Lord, I'm mighty sure everything's going to be all right. Okay, I'm going to try another one here, if I ever get it going. Okay, I'm just waiting for the key to cue in. Oh, okay, I know what's wrong. Okay, didn't take a minute to fix that. You have to have it on, eh? Yeah, you learn. That's what it is when you're my age. You get to forget things. volume's one of them. This little footprints in the sand. It's an old story that's been going around for years. Over all my burdens, through my fears, Jesus carries me. Through all my trials and through all my tears, Jesus carries me. One night a man had a dream, and he dreamed he was walking with the Lord. Across the skies flashed the scenes from his life, and for each scene he noted two sets of footprints in the sand. One belonged to him and the other to the Lord. When the last scene in his life flashed before him, he looked back at the footprints in the sand. He noticed that many times along the path of his life, there was only one set of footprints. And he noticed that this seemed to happen at the very lowest and saddest times in his life. And that really bothered him, and he questioned the Lord about it. Lord, you said that once I decided to follow you, that you would walk with me all the way. But I have noticed that in the most troublesome times in my life, that there are only one set of footprints. And I don't understand why. When I need you the most, you would leave me. And the Lord replied, oh, my precious, precious child, I love you and I would never leave you. During the times of trials and sufferings, when you see only one set of footprints, I did not leave you. It was then that I carried you. Over burdens and through all my fears, Jesus carries me. Through all my trials and through all my fears, Jesus carries me. Oh, he carries me across the burning sands, over the water deep and wide. And he gently takes my hand, and he carries me to the other side. Yes, it is true. Jesus carries me. A song called I Wonder If God Likes Country Music. We were tuning up to play a gig, and just another one night stand, and I'll do that again. Tuning up to play a gig, just another one night stand. I looked over at my guitar, and there stood an old man. Well, his cowboy clothes were frayed and worn, and his boots were far from new. He said, do you mind if I sit in with the band? I'm a country singer too. His tan leather face showed years of wear. His hair was white as snow. He said he had played in a lot of big places and once played the opera show. And when I looked back at the old man, there was a tear in his eye. And I told the boys, don't laugh at him. I don't want to see him cry. And he asked, may I try your guitar? And with a determined look on his face, and as he started to play and sing, a look of sadness took his place. He said, I've sang my songs from Maine to California, and I've seen the world through the windows of a car. Now, I never saved a dime back when I made it. I thought I'd always be a star. But now my voice is cracked and no one wants to hear me. And my wife gave up on me years ago. And it's been so long since I've seen my kids, I don't even know. Picking and singing is the only life I know. And I wonder if God likes country music. I wonder, will there be a place in heaven to sing my songs? Will he make my fingers nimble like they used to be, so I can play the chords and sing along? I just stood there. None of us knew what to say. He took my guitar and he put it down ever so gently. Then he looked at us and turned away. And the band stood up and applauded, but I can still hear his last words today. I wonder if God likes country music, and I wonder if he's going to ever let me play. Yes, I wonder if he's ever going to let me play. This is a song called George Jones and Jesus. George Jones and Jesus are two heroes of mine. One is only human, but the other one is divine. And when I could not find a friend, I found out I had two. George Jones and Jesus helped to pull me through. And when a man is on the bottom, he may not cry for help, but he needs to know he's not alone. He's not all by himself. These songs of old George was singing somehow eased the hurt. And Jesus did not turn me out when a barroom was my church. Yes, George Jones and Jesus are two friends of mine. One is human and the other one divine. When I could not find a friend, I found out I had two. George Jones and Jesus. They helped pull me through. The possum ain't no savior, but he never claimed to be. And Jesus hung out with a crowd of troubled souls like me. Now you can't find George Jones classics in the churches or the black hymn books, but I'm living proof that Jesus saves, if you'll just take a look. Yes, George Jones and Jesus are two heroes of mine. One of them is human and the other one is divine. And when I could not find a friend, I found out I had two. George Jones and Jesus. Yeah, they helped to pull me through. Yes, sir, George Jones and Jesus. They helped. They helped to pull me through. to the tune of The Garden. Well, how long's it been since I first met Old Rivers? Well, I can't remember when you weren't around. Well, that old man did a heap of work. Spent his whole life walking plowed ground. Yeah, he had a one-room shack not far from us, and he was just about as poor as him. We were just about as poor as him, and I'm going to do this over again. One of the tricks of doing something like this, you got a chance to do it over again if you wanna. So this is a song called Old Rivers. How long's it been since I first met Old Rivers? Well, I can't remember when he weren't around. Well, that old man did a heap of work. Spent his whole life walking plowed ground. He had a home, a one-room shack not far from us. We was just about as poor as him. And he had an old mule he called Midnight. And I just tagged along behind him. He plowed them rows straight and deep. And I just tagged along behind him, busting up clouds with my own bare feet. See, Old Rivers was a friend of mine. The sun got high and that mule would work until Old River would say, "Whoa!" Then he'd wipe his brow, he'd lean back in the reins, talk about a place he was going to go, and he'd say, "One of these days I'm going to climb that mountain, walk up there among them clouds, where the cotton's high and the corn's a growing. And there ain't no fields to plow." Yeah, I got a letter from folks back home the other day, and they're all fine, and the crops is high. And down at the end, my mama said, "You know, Old Rivers died." Now I'm just sitting here in this new plowed earth, trying to find a little shade. And when the sun beating down across the fields, I see that mule, Old Rivers, and me. And I say, well, one of these days, I'm gonna climb that mountain. I'm gonna walk up there among them clouds, where the cotton's high and the corns are growing. And there ain't no fields to plow. Nope, there ain't no fields to plow.